So just like a heads up, I only finished up to like day 3, and day 2 is like not really that complete. So I will be reading some stuff from like the manual, but yes, just like okay. So first of all, like on day 1, we learned about basically like food quality and testing for basically like basic stuff like sugars and like stuff and like the appearance of the fruit, which like will determine the quality, which I'll like explain more later. So first of all, our first experiment was like investigating the exact color of the fruit. So like we basically used the LED like color system to like determine like the exact color of the fruit. So like the reason why like we do this is that it will become like a lot more standardized instead of just saying like yellow or like red like that, as it makes it more specific, especially for like companies to like determine like what's the fruit's exact color. So like the way we do this is by putting like the spectrophotometer on the fruit and like pressing the button basically. So it's like pretty simple. And you basically like you repeat this like three different parts of the fruit, and you try to like avoid areas of like anomaly, such as like the brown spots like on a banana. Okay, so like the reason like why we do this is first of all to like this obviously to like make the color of the fruit like very standardized so that other people will know, and also like in a lot of cases the color of the fruit actually like really determines how ripe the fruit is and how sweet the fruit is, and it can also like predetermine what's the quality of the fruit, as usually when you see a green mango you will kind of already like know in your head that it is like not ripe yet. So like these were basically like my results. I know that you can't see it, but I did write down results. So basically like these are like the LED values for ripe tomatoes and like ripe bananas and like bananas and stuff. Okay. So basically we also did other experiments for measures of quality. So first of all, we also did like pulp firmness, which is done to measure how firm the fruit is. So like basically usually the firmness of the fruit also like implies that like a fruit is like unripe. So you can also like you can do this by like placing the probe in the fruit, which will like test the force of it and how much, you know, like basically it'll test the firmness of the fruit. And usually obviously like softer fruits will have like different values than like those fruits that are harder. And next we did total soluble solids. So this test is done to measure basically how many total solids dissolve in like a solution. So most commonly we do this to measure the total amount of sugars inside like a fruit juice. So basically you can do this by putting like just a drop in the refractometer, and like a beam of light can be used to calculate how many sugars is like present inside like the fruit juice. So this is results are shown as a percentage, and usually higher results mean that, you know, it has a higher concentration of sugar inside the liquid. So basically distilled water should be at 0, which is kind of like the baseline for everything. And next we did basically pH measurement of fruit juices. So basically I think like most of you know what pH is, right? So like basically we did this by like putting like the pen inside the liquid, and then basically like repeating the experiments for different fruits. So obviously like distilled water is at 7, which means that it's like completely neutral. And fun fact, like we did an experiment with lemon juice and we were shocked at how acidic it was, and it went down all the way to like 2.9 from what I remember. And lastly we did an experiment on total titratable acidity. So this experiment is basically done to measure how much sodium hydroxide is needed to neutralize an acid of an unknown concentration. So you can do this by putting 2 milliliters of lemon juice and a drop of basically an indicator to a flask, and you put 20 liters of like sodium hydroxide inside a burette, and you basically titrate it until it changes color. So like every time you titrate, you swirl it, and basically you see how much you need to change the color of like the solution. Okay, so day 2 we did antioxidant analysis. Okay, so basically what are oxidants and like free radicals? So basically antioxidants are needed to keep free radicals in our body like in check. So oxidants are created in the body to like fight against infections, and it can form when our sun is exposed to like UV, and it's also like formed when we have like infections and when we have like inflammations in our body. So this can be like good for like, you know, fighting infections and stuff, but like excess amounts have been like linked to ailments such as like cancer and like, is it correct, like osteoporosis? I'm not sure, but like something related to your like bones. And basically free radicals steal, basically what they do is like free radicals like steal the electrons from cells, causing cell damage and like imbalance. So how antioxidants function is by basically giving these free radicals, like these oxidants, like basically electrons to make it stable so that, you know, they won't go around making other cells unstable. Okay, so basically what are the different antioxidants we tested for? So the most common antioxidants, especially like found in fruits, are like vitamin C, like phenolics, and like, okay, like I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but I didn't list down everything. But like these are the most common ones found in fruit. Okay, so basically one of the tests we actually did a lot of tests regarding like antioxidants, but like one of the tests included like testing for total phenolics like count. So this can be done by putting 20% sodium carbonate in like 100 milliliters of like distilled water, and using like the Folin CO count to region and adding sodium carbonate after like letting it like set for 1 minute. Like let the mixture like sit in the dark. And like the reason we do so is because it's basically light sensitive, so it might affect the results in the end. So in the end, when you get your results and you finish everything, you can calculate like the total polyphenol content by like using this formula, which I don't know how to put on you know, the slides. Oh. Okay. So basically, we also on day 3 we did DNA extraction, and basically the technique is that we have like a simple and we have like a little bit like more like complex methods. So like basically the first one that we did was basically using a solution of 30 grams of table salt and like 25 basically milliliters of like liquid soap, which can either be hand soap or like dish soap, but like apparently dish soap is like better because it's more fitted to like breaking down like cell like walls. But after you finish this, you add your 100 milliliters of like hot water to like the mixture, and you take your fruit and mash it. And after like you add the solution and you like blend it, you filter the mixture using a cheesecloth basically. And then basically after like getting the solution, the filtered solution, you use the isopropyl like alcohol, and when you add like about 50 milliliters of it like into the test tube, you can see that there's like this white substance, and that like white substance that looks a bit like saliva is the DNA. So basically we did it, but I didn't take a picture of it, but it's a pretty common experiment, so I could find one online. So this is pretty similar to what we did. So in our case, we used a banana, and basically like this part right here is the DNA. So yeah, but like this is something that I think is honestly pretty easy to do. But the second one was a bit like more complex, and this is the time I didn't have like time to like write down everything. But basically what we did is it involved a lot of like grinding. So basically we had to like grind up the fruit that we did on the other day with liquid nitrogen, then turning it into like a fine powder, and then we added like buffers, like, and then we mixed it, and then we put it in like a centrifuge. And I remember we had to like repeat this a lot of times actually. So basically this is like a bit like more of like a complex method of doing it, and we had to like also like store it at like room temperature. Okay. So this is like the end of what I actually made, but I didn't manage to finish basically day 4 and day 5, so I'm gonna be relying on my book. Okay, so on day 4 we did basically gel electrophoresis and like restriction enzyme digestion. So I clearly remember like what we did. So the restriction enzyme, its function is basically to like cut the DNA to like, you know, make it like, you know, easy to like visualize. So how we did this is we prepared like an agarose gel by like heating it up, and then we used like masking tape so that it will actually take shape inside like the container. And then after a while we let it cool down because it was very hot, right? So then and then we basically added our samples of DNA, which we had like spent so long to prep inside. So before actually adding it inside, we added basically dye so that it will become easier to visualize under UV light. So after we added that, we could see that like over time we could see like the results of like the UV dye stuff. But like on the last day, yeah, we did the polymerase chain reaction, which is useful for forensics and like diagnosing like what is it? If you have like coronavirus, that's basically PCR, which is basically like an exponential regeneration of like DNA. So I did not have time to like make these slides, but in case you wanted to see, I took a picture of the UV results that we had. By the way, this is like not my picture, this is Emma's picture, but it looks a bit like this. Yeah. Okay, so that's like the end of everything. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Alright, thank you very much for a nice presentation. Was nice as well. Okay, also say that was a nice presentation. Just on the presentation, you use a lot of fillers, like basically. So you may want to avoid using a lot of fillers, but otherwise it was a very nice presentation, especially in terms of the content was good detailed explanation on methods, on what you did. So that's the right way of presenting your work, especially when you talk about methods. The only thing that I didn't see, I don't know whether everyone else is also going to follow this trend, but I didn't see any results, except for color, I think, right? So my first question would be, I was told that you did quality analysis on both unripe and ripe fruits. Right? Can you briefly summarize your findings in terms of the changes in quality between unripe and ripe fruits?
Okay, so like if we check like inequalities like in terms of like sugar content, we can see that a lot of the times the ripe fruit actually like had more sugars. But quite interestingly, what we found is that in terms of antioxidants, we found that like the unripe banana had way more antioxidants than the ripe banana for some reason. So this might have to do with the fact that the extraction process for the fruit juice like was something went wrong, or maybe it could do with the fact that ripe bananas have way more antioxidants than unripe bananas have way more antioxidants than ripe bananas. But like overall, it's like kind of what we expected, that ripe fruit have more sugar content, that they're usually more brighter in color, and they're generally more sweet compared to like sour.
Okay, so when you think about those changes, right? Those changes are an evolution for a particular function that is required for plants that bear fruit. Why do you think it's important for those changes to happen?
Okay, so I think that it's important for these. Sorry, you mean like in terms of
why
like
do they
the
have
plant?
to be brighter? Why do the fruits have to be sweeter? Why do they have to be aromatic for
So-
the plant itself?
Okay, for the plant itself, it's probably important like in terms of like the plant survival. So we know that the plants, they have seeds inside, right? So their entire goal is to reproduce. And we know that especially with fruits like lemon, like no, all fruits in general, they have like very bright colors. So we can see that like insects, they really enjoy like the sweet nectar of the fruit, and they're also quite attracted to like the bright colors of the fruit. So generally, when you're more sweet, when you're more aromatic, it generally leads to like more animals, like pollinating you, I guess. So it's sort of like a win-win for the plant to be like as sweet and like as attractive as possible.
Correct. Accurate answer. Last but not least is, if we look at your DNA extraction method, can you just give me a brief explanation of why you do each step in the DNA extraction method?
Oh, like the simple one.
Yeah, the simple.
Oh, the simple one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so like I remember. Okay, can we just like go back?
Yeah.
Oh, it's here. Okay, so I think I remember. I'm not really completely sure what we used soap, but like I think I was already like stated by you earlier. I remember that we used the liquid soap because it will break the membrane so that we can actually access like the DNA, so that like the DNA will come out. And like I remember something about the dish soap being like more potent in terms of breaking the cell wall and like the membrane. And also actually adding like the alcohol would like kind of like separate the mixture, so that it would be easier to like see the DNA like form in between the solution and like the alcohol. Yeah.
Okay, good. So when you introduce alcohol, it's really got to do with breaking the interaction between your DNA and water. So when you see things dissolved, you don't see DNA. It's not that the DNA is not there. It's surrounded by water molecules, and we call this hydration shell. So the water molecules basically create a shell around the DNA, so you don't see the DNA. However, when you introduce alcohol, water is more attracted to alcohol compared to your DNA. So it starts to leave the DNA, and that's why your DNA starts to precipitate, and then you get to see it. So basically, alcohol is there to break interaction between water and DNA so that you can get your precipitated DNA.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Good job.